all set in stone. Sooner than that, there are teams that conference like Oklahoma on the ball run. That's the full run. That's the for you. But that's a good possibility in general. Unfortunately, but that's a good possibility in general. Unfortunately, and that's kind of where we sit at the moment, just waiting for to miss the tournament barely. Well, they can rebuild on this year and possibly get a deal with Texas A&M to play regular season. Build on this year and possibly get a deal with Texas A&M to play non-conference, and the biggest things that you can get anything of that sort. They used to like that the regular season of South. You're automatically in, but that's a big picture of an outside chance. Do for UGR return. We'll switch a little bit. High school did. We'll switch a little bit. High school did innings and killing it.
Elevation 18th grade.
Are you looking for a new place on South Padre Island? How about Starney's Hot Dogs and More? These dogs are delicious, and they're made the way you want to order. A new place on South Padre, Starney's Hot Dogs and More. Stop.
Sunny Glen Children's Home has provided a place of hope for every child since 1936. If you'd like more information on Sunny Glen and the services we offer, please visit us at www.sunnyglen.org.
South Padre Island. Enjoy endless activities for all ages. Then dance the night away with live music, savor fresh seafood, and discover unique food trucks and shop our charming boutiques. What are you waiting for? Escape the everyday at South Padre Island.
Sherryland. It's back live once again here from Luke Fruia, Buick GMC. If you're in the market for a new car, check out Luke. Phenomenal. They will show you the best hospitality possible and will sell you a car at a great price. Their regional semis, unfortunately, were not able to be out this season. The rest of the team for this one in Division 2, none other than of La Jolla Palmview High School spot in order to big game to face Valley. Yes, or Dayton at least at this level able to you who are looking yet, but normally you do play two divisions. I would not basketball where they were in the Alamo Dome. I'm looking forward to seeing how they're able to do it. Palmview are able to go on and win the whole and yet gets me into this little rant because it just all those sports feel so undervalued because no one truly supports it. And you already have that success same way, and then soccer, of course, you've had seat tight in the Valley, or all they're waiting tight in the Valley, or all they're waiting for is even sure enough you show it at the Valley, all they're waiting for is, even sure enough, you show it every single year. You're making it to the regional semis, you're making it to the regional finals. Every single year you're making it to the regional semis, you're making it to the regional finals. You're having that shot to go to state when you are able to go to state. You don't see that in football often. You go to state when you are able to go to state. You don't see that in football often. You rarely successful. Then of course they move to 6A once in a while. You have to rarely successful. Then of course they move to 6A once in a while. You have to just about, it's not even in finals, and potentially go to 4 PSJ. It's not even in finals, and potentially go to 4 PSJ. 6A, they've been successful. Win a game 3, so if they really have a shot, or of course the sweep really have a shot, or of course the sweep is the opposite, where the sweep for Pioneer happen. It's going to be absolutely insurmountable, and they'll probably end up winning. I think, in my opinion, for both of these schools, block. Palmview being Smithson Valley, block. Palmview being Smithson Valley, and PSJ High School being, Dripping Springs, it to the state champ in the state title. That's very exciting as they own the state title. That's very exciting as they almost coming up the red crowd about it. Dive into that week, which is always exciting. That's a big step for these players. And then of course they play their first ever home match. A little bit
career like Kat Gomez, who graduated from TSC and is now patrolling the streets of Brownsville and serving her community. Register now at tsc.edu/register and study local at Texas Southmost College.
Time to take a new look. Maybe your first.
With financing available too. Call today or stop by Truck Tex in our
My son
GMC and Cadillac. If you're in the market for a new car, check out Fruia Buick GMC and Cadillac. Of course, phenomenal host of a team, and they will be able to put you in a brand new, well, Buick GMC or Cadillac with the perfect price that is right. Now, of course, for soccer, probably may finish off the show even talking about soccer, and it's very exciting. A lot to dive into, a lot to talk about for this in general, with of course now officially the RGV Red Crowns. Well, it's in Harlingen, Texas. They play revamped. The field has been, in my eyes, in my opinion. Now, one of the coolest things right now that we are noticing, of course, well, is just that it seems ever home match will be long lasting once again. The marketing has been absolutely outstanding. It has seemed so different than the RGVFC Toros. I know I've said that constantly, but I'm very pleased with it. Now, of course, we have to dive into the news of this team, which for the most part has been good news, but now it hasn't been the best news. For say, of course, they played their first match. It was on the road against San Antonio Corinthians FC. Interesting fun fact about where this team ended up playing their game, and I've been there before. It was at SACS, or as we call it, San Antonio Christian Private School, I believe. Anyways, of course, that school finds themselves in TAPS, where St. Joseph Academy, of course, plays their sports, their soccer, their football, their basketball. So very familiar with that place as well. That was one of my first games that I got to cover for St. Joseph Academy on the road. And that was a great time as well. They provided us with perfect internet connection, and Brio Sports Live Network brought out a phenomenal product for that match. And I remember this very clearly. St. Joseph Academy won in PKs with a beautiful penalty save by the goalkeeper, who ended up getting the player of the match award, in my opinion, or at least that's who I gave it to. And it was very exciting, and again, it was just a phenomenal time. But going back to it, it was a little interesting, of course, for the team that was in control or in charge of bringing out the broadcast for NSN. Brought out a very choppy broadcast, and it was very bad, and it was very difficult to tell who scored and all of this stuff. So either way, it was very tough to watch. The first goal goes to San Antonio Corinthians FC. They score 1-0. It seemed like it was an unmarked goal. Unfortunately, both goals seemed a little bit unmarked for both of them, and it ended up being a 2-0 final on the road. So for the RGV Red Crowns, they lost that match. Was unfortunate, but looking back at that match, it's tough to really pinpoint where things did go wrong for this team. It seemed like they were, of course, on the back foot more, trying to go for a little more counter-attacking football in a way, counter-attacking soccer. But in that sense, again, it's really difficult to go back and watch because you can't tell who is who, and all of that marking and stuff like that. And so, which is okay. But one of the main things that at least people that were at the match were able to take into consideration is how well this team did. And let me tell you something that was very exciting in my eyes for this club, was that we got to really got to see, which was kind of interesting in general. As fun fact, real quick, just saw this: Texas A&M Aggies defeat Mississippi State baseball 9-0, which again, that, like I mentioned, they can make the run if possible. Anyways, this is what I was trying to get at for the team of the week. I thought was posted on here. Might not have been posted. And fortunately it was not. But the goalkeeper, I do recall, got part of the team of the week. Let's see if the Leagues for Clubs has the team of the week. The League for Clubs, if they have the team of the week, is what I'm trying to get for you all. And that's not correct. There we go. Okay, team of the week. This was a big thing. You have two RGV Red Crown players that ended up getting player of the week. Arev Vera, your left back out of the RGV Red Crowns SC, gets to be a part of the team of the week. And Juan Carlos Alvarez, your goalkeeper, gets to be a part of the team of the week roster. Absolutely phenomenal for your first ever match as a club in general to get two players on the team of the week, even though this team lost 2-0, and you're including the goalkeeper. you're including Juan Carlos Alvarez. That's how impressive he was behind goal, even though they lost 2-0. So you kind of take back to it and say, where did the problem arise from at that start to allow for those 2 goals in the first and I believe second half? Or check that, we might have been tied 0-0 at halftime. Either way, very, very impressive for 2 players, Ara Vera and Juan Carlos Alvarez, to get Team of the Week recognition that quick into the tenure of this squad. So now you go to it as well, was the RGV Red Crowns, and really want to find out especially where it kind of went wrong. San Antonio's second goal was in the 88th minute, and their first goal was in the 75th minute. So the RGV Red Crowns, really, I think what we can kind of take away from at least that first match is that they kind of got unfocused at the end of the match. And that's completely, for a first match, it's okay. Still 2-0. It's not where you want to be. It's not where you want to end up losing. But if you look at it from afar, losing or conceding a goal in the 75th minute and in the 80th minute, after you had a couple of substitutions as well, really shows what kind of happened. Because it wasn't too long after the first goal that there was a substitution of Axel Monels getting put on the field for Jorge Mendoza, or George Mendoza, and then Randy Galvan on for Carlos Gonzalez. So right after that, you get those 2 subs. 5 minutes later, it's a second goal in the back of the net for San Antonio. San Antonio Corinthians FC, once again, full time, they won 2-0, and then the home opener, of course, this week. It's going to absolutely be very exciting in general. And so, yeah. Anyways, we will just quickly take a quick break. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned.
With his associate degree from Texas Southmost College at no cost at all. Not having that financial burden was so helpful to our family. That's 2 years we did not have to pay for.
All of my TSC credits transferred to UTRGV, and I am so grateful to go into my major debt-free.
At Marine Military Academy, we educate those who dare to achieve. Those eager to control their future before it controls them. Those who can follow a path so they can eventually make their own. Those ready to join in order to stand out. Welcome to MMA, forging tomorrow's leaders.
South Padre Island. Enjoy endless activities for all ages. Then dance the night away with live music, savor fresh seafood, and discover unique food trucks and shop our charming boutiques. What are you waiting for? Escape the everyday at South Padre Island.
Graduation time. Time to make some decisions. What's next? Can I afford to continue my education? What are my options? At Brownsville ISD Career and Technical Education, you can graduate from high school with a certificate and or license ready to go to work, debt-free. We have a wide range of programs for every student, ranging from audiovisual, law enforcement, STEM robotics, electrical, welding, pharmacy, patient care tech, and many more to choose from. That's why Brownsville ISD is the best choice.
fiber. This is our home. Take a look at what we do.
The standard of excellence has always been Cadillac, so be iconic and drive one. Fruia Cadillac, Brownsville, Texas.
So, okay, back we go live once again. Here we're talking about, of course, the RGV Red Crowns and how interesting their first match was. And like I mentioned before, you can really take a lot away from this match and say, okay, this is a good learning point. Of course, on the road now you get to go home and have this crowd behind you that's most likely going to rally around this team. And it's very exciting that just in general, I mean, going back to it, you have two players that get on the team of the week, the first team of the week, your goalkeeper and your left back. And so you really can pinpoint, of course, other areas that need, of course, more work. And the goalkeeper can only do so much that he can do. Juan Carlos Alvarez, I'm certain, did a phenomenal job. Again, it was 0-0 throughout the whole entire match. And what I could recall really kind of from this team, from the match, from the stream, at least as much as it was very difficult to see, was that it seemed like the team was on the back foot with possession. They didn't have that much possession and unfortunately trying to push forward. So again, I'm sure that the manager has a lot of stuff that he wants to implement for this next match. And that's going to be something to really take an eye on and just to look at, because it's going to be that important for this second match. The second match, of course, this weekend, it's against none other than Central Dallas FC. This is an important match in general. Don't necessarily have a lot of game notes on it just yet, because normally we get to see the game notes 24 hours before, and so you get those players and all of that fun stuff. But it's going to be very interesting once again to see how all of these teams and how all of these players really match up against each other. Of course, Central Dallas FC tonight, they play, I believe, a match, and so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. I will most likely be tuning into that match to watch to see how this team really goes on, and that's, of course, at Central Dallas FC, just to learn more about what is in store for this team. And it's going to be the same way, of course, for the coaches and the players doing that and watching that match, because it's going to be very important in general. And for the most part, it's just, again, going to be very, very exciting. I cannot wait for it, because it's going to be a special evening for myself, for this club, for a lot of players that even I technically have covered in the past that are on this team. Even a couple of players that, that won't necessarily see a lot of playing time, but if given a good opportunity in this match, might be able to. So it's very exciting in the grand scheme of things. And for the RGV Red Crowns, they have not scored a goal this season just yet. They are 90 minutes plus without a goal scored. And so kind of taking that into consideration, so they have not scored their inaugural goal in general from on the road or at home. This is a big thing. If a goal is scored, I would not be shocked to see the ball that is scored with instantly picked up by the player and thrown to the coach or the equipment manager to be put in a special case, and then they bring out another game ball. due to the fact of that one, they did this with, of course, the WNBA and the inaugural team, the Valkyries, where the first basket was ever scored for that team in a regular season game. They took that ball and then they put it away. I would not be shocked to see that in general, because it's just kind of one of the cool things to see and to talk about and do all of that fun stuff. Anyways, so there still are a lot of positives to look at. I'm sure with everyone else, want to see more shots in general for this team, and really having this opportunity of possession with a purpose, and scoring these goals, more command at midfield, more command, just being able to pressure their opponents into shots on target, corner kicks, conceded constantly against their opposition, like I said, forcing their opposition into those types of stuff. That's going to be one thing that I want to see. Now, of course, moving on, still sticking with the same thing, is pretty cool. So, this team, of course, last week they introduced their two jerseys, their away kit and their home kit, which was pretty interesting. Their home kit was, best way I can describe it, Christmas colors. You had your green and red. Reminded me, the best way, of course, to put this, I'm a big racing fan, and I race on this platform called iRacing, and it stands for Internet Racing. And so normally when you would have just purchased a new car or whatever that just came out that is identical to the real thing that's on the racetrack, it would give you in just a default color green and red. No joke, it looked like a Christmas tree. It looked like Christmas colors, of course. And so that's what, and when I first saw it, it reminded me of. It's grown on me a little bit since, but not as much as the away kit, where it's a nice plain white, and it just brings a little bit of, it looks nice. It looks a lot nicer and a lot cleaner than the first one. It just works well with the sponsor on the t-shirt, in my opinion. I just like the away kit more than I like the home kit. The home kit is slowly but surely starting to grow on me, but we'll wait and see. Now, this was the coolest thing that the team shared this past day. Their training kits, their practice uniforms, as you would call them. Their practice kits, their training kits. And I want to read exactly what it says on it, too, because I want to give the sponsors or whatever the full credit in a way, because it's absolutely spectacular. Rob Ryan Red. Their practice kits, their training kits, are sponsored by the podcast Rob Ryan Red. What is that podcast? Well, let's just have a backstory real quick. About 3 to 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago now, after the pandemic ended, Rob McElhaney was into soccer and was looking at some clubs and was thinking to invest in a soccer team in the National League, starting from the bottom and bringing a team up, because played a lot of Football Manager, which is a really in-depth simulation game of soccer. It has hundreds and hundreds, or even thousands and thousands of little clubs that you can bring all the way up to the biggest league in their team. Anyways, so, goodness, I gotta mute this. So anyways, it was pretty interesting because of the fact that that was even a question, and so he ended up getting this team called Wrexham. But he was only an actor. Rob McElhaney is the main actor of Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Glenn Hewerton and all these other guys and girls, of course. So he calls up this man named Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Reynolds agrees to do this, to invest in a soccer team in Wales called Wrexham AFC. And he's talked about it multiple times, and it's just a special story. The first year, of course, the first year that they kind of had the ownership right at the end of one of the seasons, and then the following year they make it to the playoffs in the National League, which is below the EFL pyramid. And below that EFL pyramid, all of a sudden, that first year they miss the playoffs. The second year they were able to build and spend more in the National League than any other club. They move on to, winning that title and move on to going to an automatic promotion into League Two. In that League Two, they were able to do a phenomenal job and win League Two. So all of a sudden, it's back-to-back promotions. They're in this league called League One. This is in the EFL now. That's the English Football League, which is a part of the pyramid that ends at League Two. After League Two, it goes to non-league football. So very interesting in general. This is how all the promotion and relegation works. So you move up into that League One. Well, that League One, they go back-to-back promotion, and it's such a phenomenal story. And just as a soccer fan and just as an avid fan in general, it's such a special story because it's two of these, the most random people that you could think of to own a soccer club. And again, it's Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, who are owners of Wrexham, and they made this podcast called Rob and Ryan Red. And it's absolutely phenomenal. And so now they get to sponsor part of Rob, Ryan, Red. Yeah, and they get to sponsor the RGV Red Crowns soccer jerseys for the training kits. And that might very well blow up into something that I don't think the Valley's ready for, or not necessarily ready for, but just won't expect. Where, all of a sudden they get a segment on the podcast, and all of a sudden they get that recognition, and you start to see more fans, and this builds into a USL League One team or anything of that sort, grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. So there's so much positivity just off of that. And as a Wrexham AFC supporter, because of the show, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I followed that show. I followed this team since, of course, their non-league days, because of the show, because of Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, owners of Wrexham AFC, and they have big plans for this team. They have to grow this team tremendously this year. And so that's exciting. But of course, enough about that. You go back to it. That's the sponsors for the RGV Red Crowns team, and it looks like that's going to be a really good, not mixture, but it's going to be, I think, what this team needs, even more than what they've already gotten. So very excited about all of this, and I cannot wait to see how this Saturday is going to fare, because there's so much to really talk about. What is the starting 11 going to look like this Saturday for the RGV Red Crowns? It's probably going to be very similar to what we saw against San Antonio Corinthians FC, but at that same time, maybe with a few twists in between. Now, on top of that, what do I expect out of this match at home? I honestly do expect a result. This is the time. Yes, they got that first match jitter on their road, and now they're at home in front of a lot more friends, a lot more family, and just the support of at least Harlingen behind them. I've talked to a lot of people, and I'm expecting there to be a really good crowd at least. And so I can't wait. I really cannot wait for all of that. But yes, they will play this Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time at none other than Harlingen Field up in Harlingen, Texas, where the White Wings used to play baseball. Now it's a soccer field. Feels great to say that. The RGV Red Crowns looking for their first goal in club history and looking for their first win in club history as well. And, well, it's going to be exciting. That'll do it for us here on the show as we have officially hit 1 hour. I've been Jacob Young. This has been a Real Sports Live presentation. Thank you all so very much for tuning in. We'd like to thank, of course, Luke Fruia, Buick GMC, and Cadillac for being a part of this as well and for allowing us to do this every single week. It's always so much fun to do. But yeah, that'll do it for myself. And hopefully you all have a phenomenal rest of the week and a phenomenal Memorial Day weekend. It's going to be so much fun. Again, part of it being spent at a soccer field will be just absolutely perfect for myself. But till then, like I mentioned, we will see you all next